Do you think there's any rights you're going to lose with the Trump presidency?
Oh, yeah.
Which ones?
Well, already, our Roe, our abortion.
Okay, so you want us to find the statute of where illegal immigration's illegal.
Define the
That's
statute.
totally fine. Yeah, absolutely. You mind sticking around?
We're talking about Central and Mexico.
In Mexico.
So we're dealing with the cartels in Central America and Mexico.
Can they get away from those cartels and go to another country?
Yeah, here.
Huge shout out to our friends over at Raycon for sponsoring this video.
We're talking about T-Dog taking the W. How are we feeling after the election? How's everything going?
Oh, who's T-Dog?
Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
President Cheeto.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I'm not feeling bad,
Okay.
but I'm not feeling good.
I mean, I'm not happy with who won.
It has nothing to do with policy. I know he's going to be fine for business. I know we're going to make money with him,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Culturally speaking,
But-
what do you think about that?
But I just don't like his, what do you say, his manner. I don't like that he's representing with his views on women and what he's done with women and his views on immigrants. And yet he has an immigrant wife, and that's where my women comes in. So that's me.
Your views on his stance on women. What do you mean by that? I mean, his chief of staff,
There's no
a
respect.
woman. There's a ton
no
of women in his
respect.
cabinet.
There's
What do you
no
think?
respect, though, the way he talks about women. That's what I don't like. I know he puts them in there if they're good looking enough.
Anthony, she was saying it is shocking to her because of the things that Donald Trump says about Hispanics, about immigrants, and also perhaps Hispanic Americans like Donald Trump because of that kind of machismo. Maybe, would you mind unpacking some of that for Anthony, who voted for Donald Trump? What do you think he's said about Hispanic Americans that you would say is just disqualifying?
I'd actually be more curious to hear why.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, so I think for me is, my mother's from Mexico, and she's an immigrant. I was raised in a single-parent home. The American dream is to get ahead. It's been very hard to get ahead the last 4 years. I know there's a lot of people that are thriving, they're able to make it, maybe generational wealth. I don't have any of that. We notice when the milk goes up. We notice when gas goes up. And so to us, it's really an economic issue. It's just, when was life easier, right? That's a question that's always asked. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the answer is no. And so as a first-generation American on my mother's side, and even her as an immigrant, she's looking at mass illegal immigration. They're being sent and put up in hotels. They're being given debit cards with money. And so we're asking, wait a minute, we're here just trying to get by. Why is it that this administration is prioritizing foreign nationals that, whatever their cause may be, but we're hurting here too. So I think that was something that we had to take a hard look at, looking at the ballots, looking at our options and saying, who do we think is going to be better for the next 4 years? Yeah. And that's what ultimately led us to vote for Donald Trump.
Do you think those are reasonable arguments?
100%. Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
I just don't like the lack of respect he has for certain people.
Do you mind clarifying kind of what you mean by that? I mean, what's an example of that are you saying?
Some of the language he's used, and I won't repeat, but when he's referred to women,
Do you think
how they're looking or their certain body parts, and I don't appreciate that.
Okay.
There's a lot of different things that he has done in his entire career that I will never agree with. So that's why I didn't vote for him. Policies and all of that aside, that's something that I don't really want to discuss. But when it comes to somebody as a human being, that's why I didn't vote.
What about the racial remarks? Do you think that was enough to disqualify Donald Trump as being a presidential candidate or potential president of the United States for people?
I think it was the fact that he was a convicted felon and we let him do it. Because if it was anybody else in any other race, how much unit wasn't allowed.
Do you think there's any rights you're going to lose with the Trump presidency?
Oh, yeah.
Which ones?
Well, already, our Roe, our abortion, our
we're in
bodies.
California.
I know, but
It's
still.
enshrined in our state constitution.
I know, but it's still,
Yeah.
You think he's still going to go after it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. He does want to control everything.
What other rights do you think he's going to be taking away from women, I guess specifically in California, or just people?
Just those are my main. I just see us going backwards with women's rights.
Gotcha.
I guess I can say that.
Okay.
I think for me, it's more like a social issues as a woman,
Yeah.
and with my rights taken away. As a gay woman, more rights taken away.
We're talking to some people that are thinking Trump's maybe more racist. He's an authoritarian. They're scared for the next 4 years, comparing him to Hitler. What would you say to those people?
I'd say wait and see.
Wait and see.
Yeah, give
Be
him
patient.
a chance. Be patient. Could be any worse.
Yeah.
What about you? You're a woman. Doesn't Trump hate women? What's going on there?
I have all the same rights every man has. I can work, I can vote. I don't understand what the feminist culture is doing these days. I don't get it.
Well, you guys, Christmas is an amazing time to find out you don't actually know what people in your life really want. My go-to is something that they can use every single day, like Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews online, and their latest model is better than ever. With a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair 2 devices at once. These have become my primary gym headphones. The quality is amazing, and they're super comfortable. If you're gifting these to someone in your life, now is the time to order. The cutoff date to make sure you get them in time for Christmas is December 15th. Like I said, I'm using these Raycons a lot at the gym because they're weatherproof, sweat resistant, and they have a 32-hour battery life, so I don't have to keep recharging them. I've also been loving this cool protective case cover because I drop mine all the time. This is obviously the design I went with, and they have a lot of other cool colors too. Anyways, not only do these look great, they support wireless charging and they charge fast. You guys support my channel and go to buyraycon.com/James Klug to save big for Christmas and get up to 25% off site-wide. That is right. Get up to 25% off site-wide when you visit buyraycon.com/James Klug. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back into this video.
He pledges mass deportations on day one. Like, I don't understand that. I'm an immigrant as well, so a different kind, right? Like, came from a different place.
Well, he was pretty open about that, and it seems as though a lot of Americans are in support of that. If you were to guess why do you think that is? I mean, even
Right, but I'm curious,
Hispanic
as an
Americans.
immigrant,
Yeah.
Like, why you would support that?
I have family that, are waiting to be legalized, are saying, it's been rough because the system is jam-packed. You have all these judges, you have all these court hearings. We're not able to get court hearings now for months even more because they're prioritizing people that just came in. And so I think what people need to understand is that there are immigrants that are still in wait. And so to see like, well, wait a minute, why don't we take a pause? And we're having all these people that are coming in and taking up resources. And I don't mean it in a disparaging way, right? But immigrant families are saying, we're still trying to get ahead. We need to put a pause in the mass deportations things, for example.
What's the impact of mass deportation of 11 million Americans, or 11 million family members?
What is the impact of that?
11 million family members here in the United States.
Well, not every single one of them is a family member. There's a lot of single male people in their
but a lot of
mid-30s,
them are family members.
Do you think people need more of an excuse as to why they want to deport tens of millions of people that came in over the last 4 years instead of, providing a good reason why that was a good idea to bring all those people in the first place?
Let me answer that question this way.
You see what I'm saying, though? Like, shouldn't they have just not done that?
Yeah, if a family breaks into my home and takes over a room, how am I going to be able to say like, hey, it's not okay for me to kick them out because they're already here, but they should have never come into the first place?
Can I ask you, have you ever had your house broken into and a family take over your room?
No,
Then let's not talk about it because
It was a hypothetical.
I know.
And so, he has the new border czar that's coming in, and they asked him, who are you going to be prioritizing? Gang leaders, cartel leaders that are operating already here in California. There's documentaries that show that cartels are operating here. And so when I think mass deportations, I'll be honest with you, I'm not thinking of a innocent mother that fled for her life with her baby. I'm thinking of gang leaders that have been killing, that have been creating gangs in cities and making it unsafe for people. So when you have Trump promising that's the prioritization, I'm like, I'm gonna have to take him at his word.
I know it's a hypothetical,
Well,
but
you seem to have a little bit of trouble picking up on that.
No, I didn't have trouble picking up on the hypothetical. I have trouble picking up on a hypothetical being portrayed as reality. Okay, now
reality's way worse than that, man.
Yeah.
Down at the southern border, importing tens of millions of people, way more deadly, way more horrific than that. I promise
Women,
you.
children getting ripped daily.
If you've never spent time down at the southern border,
I
would recommend checking it out.
Okay,
it's pretty
but
amazing.
here's my question to you: is
Horrifying,
you say a lot of these immigrants are fleeing
rapists. They're not killers. They're
Some of
not
them.
robbers.
Some of them. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
And as a percentage, there's fewer of them than Americans that live here.
But then that's why we should have a vetting process, right?
The point of
But we
that,
should have a
hold
vetting
on just a
process.
second. He asked me a question.
It's like that's like, oh, we only brought in 200 Al Qaeda. There's less of them than us. It's like, why are they here again? You know,
No, you're not
another
understand-
hypothetical.
You're not understanding the point.
I want to jump in here because he's bringing up some policy decisions that are making an impact on the immigrant community, whatever it may be, right? People that came here legally. Your criticism was more about maybe some of the language and how he talks. What do you think is impacting people that are here legally more?
So I'm in education, and I'm in a migrant community. And so most of my families are first or second, or sometimes third generation, but mostly first or second. And I have a real problem saying that, like, I came over here and I'm working really, really hard, and especially with what's going on in Latin America and why some of the families are fleeing, because they're not fleeing because they want to. They're not fleeing because America looks shinier. They're fleeing because their families are unsafe. They're fleeing because they can't feed their families. They're fleeing because their females are being raped. They're fleeing because their children are being called into the cartels. And so as a mom, I would flee too. I would do anything I could, and I don't care what the line is that men have drawn as to where I was born, like what side of a line I was born on. I would go anywhere I could keep my children safe. And so for me, dealing with some of these kids and dealing with some of the trauma and some of the stuff that the family is dealing with, I can't say, I'm sorry you came here first and they're making it harder for you. All I can say is we've got to figure out how to help. And so that's the harder part for me. Like, I understand some of the economics and I understand some of those pieces. I understand that it makes it harder, and the more people you take under your roof and try to feed, the less there is for everybody.
Well,
but I see the reason that it's
yeah.
happening, and I see the language being very, very dangerous and dehumanizing for those people. Because I would do it too.
What do you think about that?
I
Is
guess
it,
the counter to that-
does it eventually go too much? I mean, you know, can you make that argument for almost every single country in Africa? What are our thoughts?
You could, except that they're not on our borders, so they're not the ones we're dealing with right now. If I was next to an African nation, I'd be making that argument, right? I'd be dealing with the kids that are coming across that are sick, that are not eating, that are in danger, that are fleeing for their lives. And I probably would be making that argument. But these are the guys that are on our border that have the easiest.
What
influx
country are
there.
you talking about specific? Like, are we talking about like Central America
We're talking about Central and Mexico.
and Mexico?
So we're
they-
dealing with the cartels in Central America and Mexico.
Can they get away from those cartels and go to another country?
Yeah, here.
They're not supposed to be here in the first place, though.
You're not understanding my point. You're going to places where I'm not going. Okay, so please listen. Okay, so if you have 1% Americans are criminals, and 0.5% of immigrants are criminals, if you deport the 0.5%, what happens to the crime rate in America? It goes up. Because you deported the people who aren't committing the crimes. You deported
Well, the problem is that
you
those-
deported you deported the low criminals, the population with the low rates of criminality,
Yeah.
right? And these people who are Americans are still here.
Yeah, you're this kind of hypothetical thing that we're painting here. I guess I see what you're saying, but you're acting as though it's a very small percentage, but per capita they actually commit a disproportionate amount of crime for their population.
They deport a disproportionate level, not
Illegal immigrants, yes.
Yeah,
I have a question for you.
they're much safer people in general than Americans are themselves.
Okay,
Oh,
I have a question.
no, I mean-
I have a
See,
quick
that's
question.
where you disagree. That's where you're having
Well,
trouble.
no, I'm not.
Hold on.
They're disproportionately represented in federal drug crimes, in prisons all across the United States. The biggest gang in California is 18th Street Gang. There's about 50,000 members. The overwhelming majority, about 85 to 90%, are illegal immigrants. So you're talking about, like, who cares about all these little numbers? Also, though, per capita, it doesn't matter. That's crime that's not supposed to be in the country in the first place.
So the last 4 years, we've actually made the cartel stronger. We made them richer. We made them
have.
stronger, right? And so those
We
are.
have, and Mexico has. So part of the pieces for fighting them and dealing with the border issue has made them stronger. And part of our inadequacy of actually coming up with, Democratic or Republican, a comprehensive border
Wait,
strategy.
I'm sorry. What did you say
been
has made them
problematic.
stronger? Fighting them?
Our lack of coming up with a comprehensive border strategy for how to deal with it and how to actually support and how to handle how we're going to handle the economics on that side, whether we're supporting it, whether we're against it, because American companies still make money over there.
So I guess
Right.
my question
Yeah.
would be is in talking with Border Patrol and just talking with some of the migrants, some of them have said that hey, these people are willing to pay $10,000, $20,000, sometimes even $30,000 to come in. So if the reason why so many are fleeing is because they're scared of the cartel, how is allowing border policies that make the cartel stronger and richer, how is that helping?
It's not, but it's also not helping to demonize the ones that are trying to escape from it.
I'm saying to you that if you deport the non-criminals, the crime rate's going to go up.
But would you agree that the people that have illegally crossed into the U.S., 100% of them are criminals?
Ask me the question.
So you were talking about, if 2 million Americans,
Yes.
2 million Americans, 10% of them or 1% of them were to commit crimes, right?
Right.
But then you were talking about illegal immigrants. What was the number you used? 200,000 or something like that?
0.5%.
Okay, right.
Lower than American crime rate.
But the problem is that 100% of illegal immigrants are criminals. Would you agree with that statement? 100% of the people. 100, right, but I want him to answer that because it's important, right? Because if he's thinking about, are 100% of the people that crossed illegally into the United States, are they criminals, yes or no?
So it doesn't have a yes or no answer. Because
did they break a law? Because that's what the term is, right? Is you committed a crime.
Yes, you did commit a crime.
Right.
But if
so 100% of them, you can't even go to the 5% or the 0.5%.
Let's say
100% of them have committed a criminal act.
Let's say a safe man is crossing the road, okay? And here comes an immigrant, okay? And a car is going to hit him. So the immigrant jaywalks and pulls that guy out of the path of the car. Did he commit a crime?
I mean,
please, yes or no, did he commit a crime?
I think what we're talking about.
He committed a crime. He committed a crime.
I think what we're talking about.
So he's a criminal. And by that definition, if every immigrant is a criminal because they cross the border, right, then they're all criminals. Right. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about rapists, burglars, drug dealers. We're talking about violent crime. And these people are positives to the community.
As a side effect,
they're hard workers.
75% of arrests right now happening in Midtown Manhattan. This is a pretty easy one to look up. This is according to NYPD. 75% of arrests in Midtown Manhattan are illegal immigrants.
That may be true. I don't know this. I don't know that stat, but we can't.
But we're trying to paint people that are coming into the country. First of all, breaking a law.
You can't cherry pick your data. You can't say, okay, here in New York City.
Cherry pick your data. You're making it up. You're making the data up.
What data did I make up?
The 0.5%.
No, you can find out exactly.
I'm giving you real stuff. Also, do you mind jumping in on the demonizing, just for the audience? What do you mean by that? Demonizing by saying it's illegal to come into the country illegally, or demonizing by
they're sending, and nobody's sending anyone. They're escaping. They're sending. They're rapists. They're murderers. That's the language that we're talking about. So we're demonizing people.
But it is a known fact that there's a lot of cartel and gang members that are slipping through. I mean,
it's a known fact that there are a lot of children and mothers slipping through, and there are a lot of unaccompanied minors whose parents are sending them on a very long route through trains all the way from Central America.
Do you know why that is? Do you know why so many unaccompanied minors come through?
Primarily, the cartel issue is the biggest one coming up.
The reason for that is because under the Trump administration, if you came together as a family, it was a longer process to potentially get asylum. If you didn't qualify for asylum, they would send the family back. The Biden administration and the Biden-Harris administration promised that if you were a lone child, you were guaranteed to come into the U.S. So I have actually spoken to young kids as young as 6, 7 years old, and they're telling me the reason why I was sent here by myself from my family is because it is easier. We know it is easier to come into the U.S. because it's a 100% guarantee that we would be accepted to the U.S. and then we can petition to send for our parents.
The unaccompanied migrant problem has been going on for over a decade, far before Biden.
Yeah, it was really big. No, you're right about that. Well, Biden allows everybody in, so military-age men, they're all allowed to come in.
I disagree. If you look at the numbers that have come through, he hasn't increased them. But that's part of
it's skyrocketed, actually.
Actually, it hasn't. If you look at the actual border
It's largely
numbers.
been pretty indiscriminate. In fact, right now, what they have is the majority of, this is what it's unvetted mass migration is essentially what we've seen under this administration.
But primarily the policies haven't changed in the last 4 years. It's been a figuring out of what the heck is going on, other than the unaccompanied.
Policies have radically changed.
Immigrants commit less crime than Native Americans. That is not a made-up story. You can Google that to your heart's desire.
Well, now we're kind of shifting away from the reason why we need immigrants.
I just wanted to close one point at a time here.
Please.
So the point was, yes, maybe the 0.5% and the 1%'s wrong, but the relationship is still there. So if you deport the peacekeepers, if you deport the people who do not commit crimes, and I'm not saying that I'm not counting the fact that they crossed the border as a crime, just like I'm not.
Well, it is a crime, though, objectively speaking.
Let me finish my thought. I'm just
you don't make the rules on that stuff. I feel like a lot of this argument is just you're just creating the rules and that's it.
Are you committing a documentary, or what I'm saying is, in my example, the person who saved the person committed a crime. He crossed the border.
Right. And maybe more than once, because think of all the countries.
He crossed the border, and so he's a criminal who saved that person.
Well, here's my thing too is, I don't know if you know the ventures of the illegal immigrants that come to this country. Not only are they breaking the law by coming into the U.S., they're breaking the law of every country that they've crossed upon because they're not obeying the nation's laws. Now you're talking about, and this is an argument that I have often, is they're fleeing because the cartel are coming into their homes and their cities and just taking over. But illegal immigration actually makes that thrive. You have to pay cartels. Everybody knows that cartels control the Mexican border. Everybody knows, right? So why would we be okay? Let's say you're an honest family, for the sake of an argument. You're coming from Brazil. You're breaking all these laws, crossing through all these countries illegally, where you have no reason legally to be crossing through. You're just like, hey, what's that? Well, no, not only that, but now you're also paying up to $10,000 per person to a criminal organization that has committed heinous acts to include rape, murder, and then they use this money to further their political gain, to further the human trafficking.
I understand what you're saying.
So the person that just came into the U.S. has not just only committed a crime by crossing into the U.S. border. Think of all the things they had to do, the money they had to pay to the people that they're doing, and they're helping fuel this. Why would we be like, well, sure, they did all that, but they're going to be great, outstanding citizens here?
Okay, so you're going to ask me why I would support that?
That entire ecosystem, of illegal immigration.
I will say this about that, is that the reason why these people are traveling thousands and thousands and thousands of miles is not to get a free credit card or to live in a hotel, okay? They're doing this because they're desperate in their own countries, okay? There's no opportunities, and there's rape and crime in their own countries. They bring in their families across these thousands of miles, swimming across the Rio border where the United States government is erecting barbed wire to trap them out, right? What happens when you get caught in the barbed wire in the Rio Grande, right? This is what we do. Now, who is America? Bring me your poor, your hungry, right?
Well, that's not not nowhere outside of the Statue of Liberty, which was a gift from France, right?
It is.
Why isn't France taking
Hold on just a second. It is our mantra. It is one of the proudest things we are as Americans.
We're also a law-abiding nation, though. We are a nation of laws. We can
do both. They're not the criminals. They're not they're not the murderers. They're not the drug traffickers. The cartels are.
There seems like a big push to generalize the mass unvetted migration is a bad idea, and then the response is they're not all. It's like, I don't think people are saying that. You know, I don't even hear anybody saying that.
They're not even close to being that.
Well, there's still a massive percentage a massive figure that there are tens of thousands that come into the country, and that's a problem.
Out of millions.
Doesn't matter how many.
Yes, it does.
Because none of them are supposed to be in the country in the first place.
No.
So it doesn't.
You're going to raise the crime rate.
Okay, last question.
You're going to raise the crime rate by getting rid of people that aren't supposed to be here in the first place that might kill Americans?
Yeah, no, not who might kill Americans, who might build families and work hard and be religious and take care of others.
Jocelyn Nungari, right? You've heard of this name?
Let's not go to
Trende Agua. How do you say it?
Trende Aguas.
There you go, that's better.
When you start making policy based on individuals, you fail. Okay, you got to do it.
They can come legally.
No, let me say that one more time.
Yeah.
You brought up individual people to make your point.
That's correct. Illegal immigration is illegal.
Let me say that one more time. You brought up individuals to make your point.
That's
what I'm saying is, when you have to do that, you've lost, because we're not talking about an individual person. Of course there's a murderer, and of course there's a rapist somewhere in that populace. But if
that's not good, because those people are going to affect other people.
No one's saying that a rapist and a murderer is good. What we're saying is that if you have rapists and murderers, what are you going to deport everybody because there may be a rapist and murder at lower.
To answer your question, really quick, I got to jump in here. Yes, to answer your question, yes, illegal immigration is illegal. They're not supposed to be in the country, and they're especially not supposed to be in the country if they're. It's even worse if they're in the country and they're a criminal. That's even worse.
You have no idea.
Are you a father, sir?
Yes, I am.
So if the government came to you and said, "Hey, we have 10 people that we'd like for you to come in," and there might be a slight chance that we know you have children, you have a teenage daughter. Of these 10 men, there might be a pretty good chance. It's almost inevitable.
There might be a pretty good chance.
One of those two people are very violent gang members who women in their home. Would you allow those men, knowing that you're overwhelmingly helping most of them, but there's that slight chance that one of them might come into your home and do that?
If I knew beforehand that they were rapists and murderers,
yes, correct.
I would not allow them in.
That's exactly our point.
Okay.
We know for a fact that they're coming in. You've agreed to that. You're like, yeah, well, of course there's going to be some of them.
Yes. What I said was nobody knows who they are coming in. They don't.
You got to figure out once they inevitably.
They're American criminals when they commit crimes in America.
That's right. And we deal with that, and that's against the law.
So would you take
why add more? Why bring that up at all? Why add more to the mix?
The reason why you add more is because would you take 1 million good people and keep one bad, knowing that you're going to have to keep one bad? Would you take that trade?
No, not if they're all illegal immigrants. They can come in legally.
Especially because that bad
person, would.
They can come in legally.
No, but here's the thing.
No, they can't.
But what happens
yes, they can.
No, there's no law that allows that many people to come in.
Yes, we grant about 1 million people to come into the United States legally per year. I feel like a lot of this argument that you brought up the entire time has just been made up things that we have to combat, and it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem very fair. Because they can come legally.
I'm going to tell
Bottom line.
I'm going to tell you the same thing, sir.
Yes.
I think your stories are all stories and made up lines.
Cool. Let's prove me wrong on that. How about we look each of them up individually? Which one would you like to start with?
Which individually?
Well, you said they're all lies. Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the lies that there's a lot of that illegal immigrants are all criminals.
Okay, so you want us to find the statute of where illegal immigration's illegal?
Define the
That's
statute.
Totally fine. Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind sticking around?
Wait a minute. I want you to find the statute where illegal immigration is illegal?
That's correct. Yeah,
no.
That's what you were just challenging.
No, I'm saying...
Oh, jeez, we're not going to get anywhere with this. All right, everyone, that is it for today. So we heard a bunch of different perspectives today. Anthony, how do you think the conversations went?
I think people really care about illegal immigrants, not so much for legal ones that voted for Trump.
Yeah, they're very passionate about illegal immigrants, you guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe for more videos, and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post. And I'll catch you all in the next video.